Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Matusan Komo. If this is your first time visiting, welcome. This week I am filming from my balcony and I'm in isolation in my suite. And I thought that was a great opportunity to not do videos where I'm talking about my latest fragrances, because I'm not going to try to smell new fragrances and let you know what I think about them. I'll leave that for another time. But if you have not seen my other video in isolation where I talk about the specific fragrances I wear during isolation, and if you in me for fragrances, I mean, if you are in my channel for fragrances, then you can refer to that. But I thought like I would do a getting to know me video, or maybe a few facts about mod. I couldn't tell whether I want to do 10 facts about mod. I don't know if I lost count if I try to do that, or getting to know mod. I don't know, and that might sound a little bit more boring because we like countdowns. So I don't know how to go about that. But I've actually been asking around people, like, if you see me on YouTube and you're like, what the heck are you doing? What type of questions would you have? And like people that I know, right? So I'm like, okay, pretend like you know nothing about me. Like, what's going to strike you? So I've been asking around for people about, to people to ask me some questions. So I have a couple of questions that people have asked me, and some that I just know that people have of me, and it's like, okay, things that you are wondering about me, that perhaps. But anyway, first one, my name is Maud Toussaint Como. So I usually just put the name out there, but my channel name is A Mod Thing. So my first question is, how did you choose your channel name? So first, my channel name was just Maud Toussaint, and then for a reason that I would explain later, since I have other production that goes under my name besides the Maud Toussaint Como, I decided to change it to A Mod Thing. So why A Mod Thing? So not everyone is familiar with the expression A Mod Thing, but I was curious to one time go to the internet and then see a tons of t-shirt that says A Mod Thing. You would not understand. So I'm like, oh my God, my name is actually an adjective. And then it turns out, on a personal level, I've had people saying to me, oh, you're doing your mod thing. And they were not said in the greatest spirit. So that used to affect me. And then at some point in my journey, I've started assuming myself so much that I embrace anything that's about me, and A Mod Thing to me becomes, hey, I love that. Whatever, I love it. Whatever it might mean for someone else, it means a lot to me. So I've just been delighted in calling my channel A Mod Thing. But you would understand. At least I'm trying to make you understand. So what then is my channel about? What am I trying to understand? I'm not trying to be enigmatic and say, A Mod Thing, you would not understand. Yeah, I want A Mod Thing. I'm helping you understand. And what am I trying to understand? So that's, I guess, my second question that's tied to what my channel is about. It might feel like, if someone is purely interested in fragrance, that I'm all over the place. But at the very onset, I have approached fragrances from my perspective as an art collector. I have found a lot of similarity between, once I started understanding perfumery as an art, if not a science for the perfumers. I'm sure they have to study chemistry and everything. But at the end of the day, it also becomes an art. If you've seen my other video where, that's done in isolation with the same outfit, democracy is a verb. So you're not seeing double, it's a different video. So if you've seen that other video I just filmed it, I've talked about fragrances like 1969, which was a socio-political statement where a perfumer is trying to capture a moment, is trying to capture an art piece. And then you also have a fragrance like She Came to Stay, which is after Simone Beauvoir, the mother of feminist thinking. And this is carrying her name. And I have countless of other fragrances that are also around art pieces, around literary works, like Woman in Gold. Just the perfumers trying to go in time, in history, traveling and trying to capture a story. Like I talked about Citadel. This is a perfumer trying to capture the essence of a mountain. In Haiti, name is Mountain, and the Citadel in Haiti. And when I'm in Haiti, I can feel the warmth, the spirit that it's trying to capture. I definitely feel some element of Haiti, dances, folklore, culture a little bit in this fragrance. So it looks like it's going to rain, which means that my getting to know me has to be short. That's great. So basically, the channel is about art and fragrances, where I try to speak from my perspective of the fusion of those two senses, art in all its aspects, music, and I've featured some of my kids singing or playing the piano, and I've gone to museum, I've gone to art festival. So look at those Spend the Day With Me vlogs. They're usually tilting around a trip in a garden or going to an art festival and things like that. So that's what the channel is. It's a fusion of arts, it's a fusion of fragrances as per my collection. It's a lifestyle channel, which means I also take the opportunity, if I go to a different country, to share that. So I've gone to Haiti and vlog from Haiti. I've gone to Puerto Rico, vlog from there. St. Lucia, vlog from there. It's basically a lifestyle channel, which are some of the elements of stuff that I find are from my creative side, which is the art, the fragrances, and travel. So that's the channel. Then the third question then becomes, I'm clearly not a perfume specialist. It's purely sharing fragrances from my perspective as a user. So what people need to understand is, just because you're talking about fragrance, some people who are not used to the fragrance community are like thinking, oh my God, you're selling perfumes. No one has ever seen me telling people to go buy perfumes. I feel that perfume conveys a mood, and I would show perfume in essence as part of my lifestyle, and I would also show perhaps the outfit I'm wearing, what I thought went with what I'm wearing. It's purely from a user, it's purely from a lifestyle perspective. I'm not a perfume expert in any way. I do learn about the notes of fragrances just to know what the mood it conveys. And over time, as I smell them more, I start being able to distinguish the difference. I start knowing what I don't want on me. I start knowing a little bit about it. But it's purely on an amateur basis, from a personal use basis, not from a professional basis. There are professionals out there, okay, who sell fragrances, who make fragrances. That's not what the story is for me. It's purely from a lifestyle content perspective, guys. So take it easy. I'm just kind of having fun here with you and sharing that fun with you. So that leads then to what I do. Since I say I'm not a perfumer, I'm not a full-time vlogger. I do that for just sharing my time with people as part of the pandemic. I decided to just do that. So my professional job is I'm an economist. I teach economics. I do research on economic issues. I do a lot of publication out there. So if you out there, you look for mod, you would see a lot of things coming out, books, journal articles. So I'm not a speed personality, except that as human, we all have hobbies, and we all have other passions outside our work. So I'm a mother, a wife, and I also have a lifestyle with friends, with my home, with my garden. And I thought, hey, I don't see that being projecting as much in the YouTube world of influencers. I don't see, a black immigrant lady, art collectors, mom, talking about just the easy things. So I do have the heavy things out there in the world, but I also have this part of mod that I have found over the years. People have told me, you're a great storyteller, you're a fun person, we love your home. And I'm just giving you more of that. And the rain has started, so let's see if we can get inside for me to finish that story. All right, guys. I can't believe that it started raining pretty strongly. It's kind of nice to be hearing the sound of the rain. It's starting to smell really good. I hope that the sound is okay with the cicadas still screaming out there. But yeah, I wanted to continue the story from inside. I think I've answered 4 interrelated questions so far. So I think there was another question that's a little bit close to that I perhaps should also elaborate on. Why did you start the YouTube channel? Yes. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. I closed the door a little bit. Why did I start the YouTube channel? Some of you may have or may not have heard the story, but to me it's a funny story. It's a very funny story because I seriously, when I decided to start my YouTube channel, let's say at midnight that morning, I didn't know I was going to start the YouTube channel 2 hours later. Which means I started the YouTube channel at 2 in the morning. So to me, that's my little funny story because the pandemic had just started. There were so many things happening in the world. Seriously, I'm not trying to be dramatic, but everyone was going to their epiphany. It was just so much going on, not only from the pandemic, a health perspective, but from socio-political perspective. And I found myself having maybe some form of anxiety, but I tend not to really deal with those things and just busy myself around. But perhaps the anxiety was causing me not to sleep well. So it was like 2 in the morning, I wasn't sleeping, and that's just when I started the YouTube channel. I stumbled upon YouTube because I love French songs, and something about perfume came. It really totally started as by accident, almost by serendipity. you know, a video by Angel lately came, and she was all giggly and funny talking about her fragrances. I seriously had never heard of that. I had the Chanel number 5. Maybe it's part of my sound effect. I had, Chanel number 5. I had never heard people talking about it in such giddity way. And it just caught my attention, so I kept listening to her. But it really was more like the personality, the person behind the fragrance. And I'm going to talk about what I've experienced in the fragrance community later, which was really different from my first immersion into this fragrance world, because it was me, YouTube algorithm throwing some video onto me one day of beautiful Angel Lately. I believe she is a Kenyan YouTuber. Fell for her as a person, and she happens to be talking about her fragrance, and I just started following her and decided to just follow beautiful, giggly Angel. I literally started purchasing a couple more fragrances. Like forever, I've had my Christian Dior, Miss Dior, I've had my Chanel number 5, and I've had Angel, and I've had Anais. These were, and then in college, I used to have White Linen, some of the Estee Lauder fragrances. But that was pretty much all I felt that I needed in fragrances. And then somehow I got influenced by beautiful little Angel Lately. And I started buying stuff because she was connecting fragrances with mood and feeling and emotion. And something about that is attractive to people. I don't know why. There is a reason for it, because clearly there is a huge fragrance community. People watch videos on fragrances. People talk about fragrance. But I didn't know that. When I first, got exposed to it, it was just this person. And then of course, once you listen to one person, YouTube is feeding you video by other perfume stuff after perfume stuff. So I started literally listening to those perfume videos because they were making me fall asleep. So guys, if you're watching my perfume videos and you fall asleep, I totally understand that. In fact, I don't know. I tell some people, you're hearing Maud's voice, because like Maud is everywhere. Maud's voice is everywhere, People are starting to hear my voice somehow in their head. But anyway, I thought that it's fine to just listen to video for relaxation. If you fall asleep, it's okay. You don't have to keep watching me like this, So I kind of started watching those things because they were making me fall asleep. There was some childlike quality to it where I was listening. I'm like, okay, do I have this? Do I have that? Do I have this? Do I have that? No, I don't have it. And somehow, sometimes, they would convince me to get something. And then I went to New York City, and I studied my collection there. I started buying a couple of stuff, which I regret because I didn't know what I was doing. A couple of them, Decadence, for example, that I bought earlier, I just didn't like it. But anyway, and then so that's how the whole thing started. It was by accident. It wasn't by any great big thinking or design or knowledge or anything like that. And then because my approach to perfume was about the personality, I felt it was a great opportunity. In my second video, I was just, in each of my videos early on, I started standing in front of an art piece. And then I started seeing similarity between what I know of the art and some of the things I know of the fragrances, and I started integrating the narrative around that. And that's how it became, this is a channel where we talk about fragrances and arts. I feel like a lot of people just leaves it the minute they're here. This is a channel that talk about fragrances and arts. But I do feel like at the end of the day, each person has to be true to themselves. They have to communicate the things that they are passionate about. They have to communicate the things that their truth, the thing that really reflect their lifestyle. So I felt like at the end of the day, it became beneficial to me. Someone was always seen as this very serious professor, this very serious, unapproachable economist, to actually let people into the creative aspect of me, because I am a Pisces. I am very, very creative. I may not have all the, how would I say that, talent to do arts, but I feel maybe in a different world I was an artist, or I'm going to be an artist in a different world. I definitely would negotiate with God to make me an artist in the different world, in the next world. You know, because I am an art appreciator. I am a creative appreciator. Anyone that is creative, I find I'm drawn to that. And the creation can be just anything. I'm probably one of the 50 plus people who knows as much about Haitian rappers and African raps. You just name it. If it's an artful expression of anyone, because I love to listen to other voices, I feel that I would be amiss if all I think about is my own voice. So I like to listen to other voices, and voices that people might at first disregard, but I can see the creativity, I can see the originality, so I am a supporter of that. So I basically studied from my perspective in the fragrance with this perspective, as opposed to just pick more and more and more fragrances, keep them behind you, show the biggest collection, which these other people have been listening to, so I'm not blaming anyone for that, but I'm not in a capacity of doing that. I do not have the biggest perfume collection, and I don't feel like I'm trying to do that. I don't feel I'm trying to do fragrances for the sake of fragrances. So which comes to next to me, to the question I have actually of myself. People have not asked it, but that's something I've asked myself about: what in the world are you doing in terms of your perspective of the fragrance community and where your place is in there? I have to say that, so that's, I don't know, it could be my 7th question now. Or 8th. I've had a lot of people would say that they respect the fact that I'm a little bit different, I'm a little bit, on a lane on my own. And I've never known how to do anything differently than being different and basically being true to me, because there are a number of elements combined that makes me a little bit unique everywhere I go. Whether I find myself as a minority person in a field that's traditionally not necessarily, taking me with open arms. And I've done actually an early video on my experience as an economist and stuff like that, but I've removed that from circulation. If people are interested in me reopening it, I am willing to do that. Let me know. What's my place in the fragrance world? I think I've explained it. And so when I started looking at fragrance from the lifestyle perspective, so this is why I love the vlog format, where you're taking people to thing that's around you, that's telling your whole story, that's at least a little part of it, that's bringing people in. I've found that these are the type of content that I am also attracted to, that I feel most comfortable bringing in. I need to integrate my fragrance talk with what else is going on with me, and I hope that some of you will appreciate that. Some of you, it's not your thing. Like, who cares about mod? You know, there are some very specific formulas on how to succeed in the fragrance world. Okay, you have all your fragrance collection behind you, and you make sure you pick up the latest one. But seriously, think about it. To me, it makes sense if you approach this as a business decision. So like anything else, you investing in the business of being a fragrance influencer. Because in the beginning, you're not going to get people sending you fragrances or paying you to talk about their fragrances. But it's okay to purchase those fragrances as part of your content. And hopefully it's an investment, because as more people watch you, you become a big influencer, then you can make your own perfume. You can do all these things. If you are this driven, it makes sense to invest this type of money in purchasing 1 million fragrance that, to be honest, unless if we sell them, we might die leaving quite a few of them on our shelves. You know, and on top of it, fragrances have a life shelf. Basically, the reality of it is you can find yourself in search of views, in search of subscribers, spending thousands and thousands and thousands buying the most expensive perfumes that there are, because that's what people are watching you for. To see what's my most expensive perfume, what is the latest perfume I have, what is the this, what is the that. That's going to push you to the stratosphere if you are lucky. And then as a business investment, you can become successful in it. Then you become a perfume person. You know, like I said, people send you stuff. Unfortunately, it's taking a gamble. It's taking a gamble. That's what the reality of this fragrance influencing world is. Okay, guys, it's taking a gamble. I have found when I follow people that there are certain representation that no matter how many fragrances they purchased, they're not advancing as much as other representation that would purchase the same fragrances or less and would just be steep up to the stratosphere in terms of starting to get people sending them stuff, getting sponsors, and doing all these things. And part of it is because it's like any other businesses. It has to do with, how would I say, network and connection. If you have a big YouTuber who decides to uplift you, then there is a good chance you're going to move very fast. I mean, seriously, I'm not trying to bring my science here, but as an economist, it's very clear to me how that marketplace works. The internet doesn't take time. There is a chance, like, if you did not fly into the stratosphere almost your first week or month, there is a chance it's not going to happen. I even was surprised that there is a darker side to the business among the YouTube fragrance reviewers who are, you know, they're basically using each other to support each other in order to help the algorithm, which is great. But what happened is that it becomes cliquish. A whole chunk of group of people would make sure they don't watch your stuff, they don't support you, either because they feel you're not supporting them or whether they feel you're not their peer group. They're just not going to do it no matter how good your content is. So it has nothing to do with quality. It has to do perhaps with the luck of the draw in the business, your representation also helps. To me, it can get very crazy. And one has to really think about what you're doing, because what can I say? Life is not about spending millions and millions and millions in fragrances to get the views, to get, the subscribers, and then nothing happened years and years after, and then you get burnt out, which is what happened to a lot of people. I would say, being in this for 2 years, that the fragrance as a lifestyle should really just be stuff you really like, that you are really collecting. If you're not in it for the business aspect of it, and you're not willing to take that gamble and spend virtually almost close to millions, I'm not kidding. Some of those fragrances, guys, are $500-$600, $700-$800, close to $1,000, right? You can imagine how dramatic that can get if you're getting $800-$900, dozens of perfumes at that price a month, only to try to build your perfume channel. And then if you're not in it as an investment to really grow, you're in it just for views, that's a choice you have to make. I had to make the choice not to have the biggest collection and be just fine with it. That's probably a long one. That's a long one. But that's the hard reality of things. So people may ask, what do you do with all these fragrances? I believe that I have fragrances that each of them are relatively unique. So I would go for the stuff that I feel, first of all, are really work of art. There are certain fragrances I've always wanted. Portrait of a Lady. This is an artful fragrance. That's after the Henry James novel by the same name, Portrait of a Lady. And it's just really art in wearable art. So from my perspective as an art collector, my approach has been to really curate my perfumes around a perfumer that I really love and respect, or around a celebration of work, that it would be the same as any other artworks that I get. And I don't mind spending on those type of luxurious stuff. And I wrote that being cheap was over, in one of my, maybe Facebook page, that being too cheap was overrated. I've found a lot of satisfaction in surrounding myself with beautiful things. And fragrance is another part of it. So it's part of your lifestyle. You're not going crazy over it. Like, I'm not going to buy a piece of art that I cannot afford. But if I can afford it, I will get it. And it's giving me immeasurable pleasure to have that in my space on a constant basis, which is the same as wearing a beautiful fragrance like Past Presence that immediately transports you to an African safari. That's my approach to art collection. That's my feel about where I stand in the fragrance art community. I'm not trying to compete with the next person for getting that fragrance for the sake of getting a few additional views, and doing this, using that formula of a million fragrance behind me, and I have the greatest and the most expensive one. Because personally, to me, I don't think that my biggest legacy in the world is going to be that, or is that. So no, I don't have the incentive to go crazy in that journey, but I am willing to open up for people to see everything that I feel is kind of shareable, that might be entertaining or sometimes even inspirational or just adaptable to your lifestyle, if I feel I have something that's worth sharing, because I would do that, because I take on a lot of other people's too. So the stuff that I produce creatively in my videos or some of the same stuff that I'm looking from other vloggers, like the aesthetic in terms of their outfit, the aesthetic in terms of their home, the aesthetic in terms of fragrances they wear. And the art world is a whole new beast by itself, which as far as I know, I'm a little bit unique in bringing in, but there was another benefit to the art. It was to also uplift the Haitian cultural narrative and production to the world, because a lot of people hear a lot of bad story about it. When Haiti is so rich in culture, so rich in history, and the fact that I've been primarily Haitian art collector, I'm too happy to open up my space, which is very heavily Haitian influence in terms of the aesthetic and the art piece that I collect over the years. I can show you a couple of images of what I'm talking about in case that's your first time visiting the channel to see. Let's take a break. I need to think about some more questions people have asked me. I've actually asked the questions in Instagram. I've had people DM me. Let me see if I see some other questions I'm missing out that they ask. Do you have kids? Yes, I have 2 daughters. And every so often I've shown a little bit of them that don't want to be into my YouTube world. But every so often they've been gracious enough to let me either use their music as a soundtrack and things like that. I've been very happy to do that. Are you married? It's a guy asking me that. I hope there isn't any second idea about that question. Yes, I am married. Actually, my husband has done a couple of videos with me before that was really well received. I think people just love those type of videos, although it's probably better to keep married life for oneself. Unless if I have a different channel that I call a mod's life. But right now it's mod things, just things, not people. It's the fragrances, the shoes, the bags, the art, the travels, not a mod's life per se. Although I hope you guys get to know a little bit of my life. What other questions? Oh, am I going to film something in Haiti again? Filming in Haiti was very special to me because it was the first time that I attempted vlogging. I didn't think I could do it, and I just went there and just bought new cameras when I was in Haiti and just did it. So that's very special to me. Absolutely, next time I go to Haiti, I am going to be filming. And I may have a couple of nice surprise new places that more places that I'm going that I'm not revealing yet, just because I haven't made final plans that you're going to see. I have some other platform. I am on Instagram. So just to end, I am on Instagram under Maud Como. And there, what in the world I'm doing in Instagram? I think I have 3 personalities in Instagram. One is I have a track where I try to do like positive thinking. And some of those are really to help me as much as I think they help other people. And those something about the Instagram algorithm gets a lot of views. And I try to also do those lip sync with those voices of wisdom. I feel I'm learning something about acting a little bit because I have to try to imitate the tone, the voice a little bit to do those voice over or lip sync. I have a saying this week that's basically saying that I have several. I have one by Oprah Winfrey that's saying that you should not expect for people to act the way you want them to act, that you have to accept them. It's actually said with more eloquence in my story. So let me see if I can hear it again.
You would do in a situation only leads to your disappointment, not theirs. They're going on with their life. So let people be who they are, and either you accept it.
Okay, we have to try to get that again. So my Instagram is really about, one track is about positive thinking to help me. I think the Oprah Winfrey one is coming again.
Expecting people to do what you would do in a situation only leads to your disappointment, not theirs. They're going on with their life. So let people be who they are, and either you accept it
or you don't. That's been just incredibly thank you for me.
worrying about what other people think about you, and be sure that you think correctly about yourself. Stop worrying about what other people think about you, and be sure that you think correctly about yourself. Stop worrying about what other people think about you, and be sure that you think correctly about yourself. Stop.
So you get the gist, guys. That's yours truly here.
And be sure that you think correctly about yourself. Stop.
So yeah, so you get the gist, guys. I tried to go in Instagram and really be as creative as I can as a content creator or a video creator. So I have the line of positive thinking. That one just got 2,243 views. And then I promote, of course, some of the places I go. That was in St. Lucia. So that was a sunset cruise. So yes, so it's using the music, it's using the images to share places that I've been. And I'm not going to lie, really love those reels because the music allows you to feel the place even without words in such beautiful ways. And of course, your girl show her cute self as well.
So this is love. So this is love. So this is love. So this is
Yeah.
love.
So there it is. That's me on social media. Don't you try to go in my LinkedIn and Twitter. Those are my purely professional platform. It's about the articles I write. It's about the discussion in economics. It's about conferences I give and things like that. Basically, yeah, so that's my presence in social media. It's multi something. It's multi something. So someone was like, oh, so don't leave your job for this. Do you have time to do this? You know, as a professional woman, I've had time to give birth, to be pregnant, to take care of my kids. I love cooking. I actually have a couple of my cooking stuff in there too. People love my Haitian plantain. Twice fried plantains, right? Like that was a dinner I made, and I posted that. As you can see, your girl is a mom, an Haitian mom, and yes, I'm going to know how to cook. Oh, I have some dancing there too. I'm going to know how to dance. I'm going to know how to have fun. Being a professional still give you time to exercise your hobby, to exercise the fun part of you. I don't think people need to be this serious, about everything in life. So my husband is also an economist, and people assume like, oh my God, all you do is sit down and talk about the economy. Seriously? No one just sit there, lay in bed, whatever, talking about the stock exchange, unless if something is weird. So there is a season for everything, guys. And I have enjoyed those many moments in the season that I am living. They've actually taught me something. I think so. Finally, my last question is, what has being in YouTube taught me? First of all, YouTube is a platform. Okay? So what people need to understand about a platform is just a place that amplifies your voice. Basically, as I said, perhaps promulgated by the pandemic and the epiphany that everyone was going through, including myself, I felt an urgency to try to amplify and glorify my voice beyond the narrative that people keep wanting to fill me in, to that box of their narrative of who they think I am. And even now, I just know that it doesn't matter how many images I show. People are going to conceptualize whatever they want to conceptualize. And, it's part of what Oprah Winfrey said. You have to learn to accept people for who they are. This thing is really resonating with me. Accepting people for who they are. Because I realized that probably 80% of the problems I've had with other people has been because they've formed opinion of me. They've wanted me to be this. They've wanted me to be that, Like even the research I do, some people, I've done one type of research, but I've also done a zillion other type of research. But people like to think about me doing this one type of research. That's kind of what their brain has already sort of wired into placing me. So it doesn't matter how much you tell people, lighten up, chill. You know, don't try to box me in. It's just not going to happen. So it's part of the journey of being accepting of other people. So the biggest thing I've really learned, and that's why the Oprah Winfrey stuff resonated with me, was to just accept people, but most importantly, understand that some other people are never going to accept you, or they're going to try to change you, or they're going to try to do this. So people are like, okay, what is she doing in YouTube? And they're just basically ghosting to watch what the heck I'm doing. And they're never understanding because they're too busy formulating something in their mind. So I feel like then, therefore, in terms of the last question, what I've learned is basically understanding that I have to accept myself for who I am and be proud to show it, and not necessarily try to fit myself in a mold of what people are going to expect. And in the process, accept the fact that other people are not going to accept me, and it's just fine. And that's, if you go to my information in my YouTube channel, so finally, I doubt people will be listening to all of this at once, but if you made it through so far, just know that many of you don't really know YouTube the way it works, but it's essentially a platform where people just talk, right? Some may be selling, but not necessarily. We're just really sharing mostly. That's my case. And I'm just sharing all those things. So I have a tons of videos. If you go to a playlist, then you have a combination of all the videos in together. So I have my Spend the Day With Me playlist. I have my live streaming playlist. I have my Haitian art highlight playlist, and I have my perfume videos playlist. So if you play them, all of them would come at once. And then in the channel, I talk about my motivation for going into the channel. During the pandemic, I created a lifestyle YouTube channel in which I speak of fragrances and artful livings. This was, to those who may not know me, uncharacteristic. However, this initiative meant a lot to me. It meant saying yes to me when others were always quick to say no. Folks, are just like, you get tired of people saying no in so many levels. But it's a vehicle of democratization for channeling my voice when others assume I was silent, and embrace my creative self. It's an immunization to feelings of vulnerabilities. The channel reflects the choice I made to just give as much of my inner joy as I could to others, without asking first for same in return. In fact, being totally open to thumbs down as much as thumb up, and to frankly equate the two as the same and just maintain the course. So please visit the channel, become familiar, and understand my desire to serve quality, have fun with fragrances, and uplift art and cultural living. So yeah, there it is. If you have more questions, ask, but I cannot think of more questions to answer. So until next time, thanks for watching. Bye.